Now, from the #1 night team.
It was a scary time in my life. I thought it was over.
Breaking news.
A gunman opens fire on a Las Vegas concert, killing more than 50 people in what's now the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history.
Team 12 in Las Vegas tracking the search for answers as we learn more about the shooter's ties to Arizona.
This is a crazed lunatic full of hate.
It was an act of pure evil.
People from Arizona at the concert running for their lives.
I got my sister out and my mom out. I got them both, but they're still shooting over there.
And a former ASU student in the crowd as the gunman hit people on both sides of her.
I said, Mom, we're hiding. You need to take care of my kids. You have to make sure my kids are okay.
Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton highlighting the urgent need for blood.
Insider secrets on what you should do if you ever find yourself in a mass shooting situation.
All this as the Diamondbacks get ready to host a playoff game at Chase Field. Are the players worried?
More breaking news.
A missing mom accused of snatching her son found after months on the run.
I'm trying to find tickets. We're going to pick them up.
And the 100-degree temps are back. Arizona's news leader in action for you tonight.
Here we go.
12 News at 10 starts right now. Good evening. It sounded like a war zone. Nearly 24 hours after a lone gunman opened fire on a crowd of concert-goers in Las Vegas, the fatal shots are still echoing across the nation.
Authorities continuing to dive into the background of the shooter tonight. Still, very little is known about his motives for killing at least 59 people and injuring more than 500.
Among those killed, a newlywed protecting his wife, a special ed teacher, a single mom, police officers, and so many others.
Here's a look at the scene where the attack played out. The gunman taking aim from his room on the 32nd floor of a Mandalay Bay hotel room. He was just 400 yards away from the concert on the opposite side of the iconic Las Vegas Strip.
Tonight we have the very best team coverage headed your way. First, Team 12's Joe Dana, who's live in Las Vegas with the latest. Joe?
Guys, it's hard to fathom, but police say they found 23 guns in the suspect's hotel room at the Mandalay Bay behind me. They found another 19 guns along with explosives at the suspect's home, about an hour and a half northeast of here in Mesquite. Now, as this investigation is underway, people here today also took the time to mourn the victims.
And we're saddened and we're sorry.
A somber vigil after bullets rained down on the Las Vegas Strip. 64-year-old Stephen Paddock used a hammer to break 2 windows in his suite at the Mandalay Bay Hotel before opening fire on a crowd of country music concert goers below, reloading again and again until turning the gun on himself as SWAT teams closed in.
Breach, breach, breach.
Investigators described Paddock as a wealthy retiree who would travel to Vegas to play high-stakes poker, gambling more than $10,000 a day several times in recent weeks. His brother offering few clues to a possible motive.
It's just like an asteroid fell out of the sky. There was nothing that would say he would do this kind of thing.
Among the victims losing their lives, a Tennessee man who helped his wife to safety, and a university student who was known to coach his little brother's flag football team. Feelings of helplessness here haunt survivors.
I would feel their pulse or grab their arm, and there was nothing, so we would just cover them up with, a lot of them were wearing cowboy hats, and we would just cover them up and keep going to the next one.
Authorities say identifying the victims will be a long process that takes time. The mood here tonight very somber in a city that usually never sleeps. We're going to have a look at the critical need for blood. That's just in a few minutes. In Las Vegas, Joe Dana for 12 News at 10.
All right, Joe, thanks again. We'll see you in a few minutes. We're learning the Las Vegas shooter did have some ties to Arizona. According to Stephen Paddock's brother, their father, Patrick, was once on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. He robbed a bank in Phoenix back in 1960 and then later escaped from federal prison. According to newspaper reports at the time, Paddock lived in Tucson with his 4 kids. One of those, presumably, was Stephen Paddock.
Well, not only is Vegas a quick flight away, but it's an easy road trip from the Valley.
Team 12's Ryan Cody is working to track down the Arizonans who were there during that massacre. and who are lucky to be alive tonight. Ryan?
Yeah, Mark, lucky is the key word there, because if you're a country music fan in Arizona, it only makes sense to think about going to a concert that big only a few hours from home. Many watching on TV with the feeling of, wow, I mean, that could have been us. And for several Arizonans, it almost was.
You could hear the pop, 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 and that's what I knew. We needed to hit the ground.
First-hand accounts from those just landing back in Phoenix. Arizonans lucky enough to survive the worst shooting in modern U.S. history.
We thought that it was fireworks or something that was going off.
Tanya Groff coming home in a wheelchair after taking shrapnel in her leg. The experience horrifying enough to know she's one of the lucky ones.
I'm still in shock, but being at the hospital was really hard, and you know, seeing people with their injuries and seeing people who had passed from the injuries was really hard.
Several off-duty Mesa police officers in the crowd as well. Instincts leading them to join the hundreds helping victims.
I even feel like they could have done more, and quite honestly, there's nothing more they could have done.
I was actually at the concert.
Local country music radio stations taking calls all day. KMLE actually sending someone to the concert as part of a ticket giveaway. Luckily learning that person is safe.
It just hit so close to home.
ASU students Lexi Doyle and Megan Freger near the stage when bullets started raining down.
I could just see out because there were fences around, and that's where a lot of people had gotten shot. He must have just ripped right through there because it was just bodies all along this fence.
Images many Arizonans can't forget about a night gone terribly wrong. One woman with ties to Arizona is still among the missing. Former University of Arizona student Christina Duarte's family says she is among the 22,000 that were at the show, and they're still trying to contact her. We're live in the Live Alert Center. Ryan Cody, 12 News at 10.
All right, Ryan, thanks. Well, Arizona officials took to social media to share their thoughts and prayers after the deadly mass shooting erupted. Governor Doug Ducey tweeted, "To honor and remember the victims of the Las Vegas shooting, flags at all state buildings will be flown at half-staff until sunset on October 6th. Senator John McCain wrote, "Cindy and I are praying for the victims of the terrible Las Vegas shooting and their families. We appreciate the bravery of all the first responders." And Senator Jeff Flake tweeted, "Awful, awful scene in Las Vegas. My heart goes out to the victims and their families." And finally, former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords wrote, "My heart is with the victims, their families and friends, and the law enforcement officers who risked their lives to save others."
This unthinkable tragedy hits extra close to home for many of us here in Arizona. Earlier tonight, I talked to a former ASU student who was in that concert crowd, running for her life as the bullets rained down and people on both sides of her were hit. Are you almost in shock right now that you lived through this?
I'm in crazy shock because people, as my husband and I were running out, were getting shot down next to us.
As a mom, what is going through your mind at that point when people are being gunned down all around you and you're running for your life?
The first thing that happened when we were ducking behind the cop car, my husband and I was trying to call my mom because my parents were watching the kids while we were there, and I couldn't get a hold of her, and I was breaking down to my husband saying, "We're never going to see our kids. Like, I'm never going to see our kids anymore." And then when we got to the big rig and we were hiding, I called my mom, and she answered the phone, and she had no idea what was going on, and I said, "Mom, we're hiding. You need to take care of my kids. You have to make sure my kids are okay." And my mom, of course, freaked out because I'm her daughter. And she was like, "Well, what's going on?" I'm like, "There's shots being fired everywhere. People are dying. You have to take care of my kids. I don't think Colin and I are going to make it."
Any thoughts on why you and your husband were able to make it and so many others didn't?
Luck.
So tonight we want to hear from you, and it's a question that we're probably all asking ourselves. Are you worried about event safety here in Arizona in the wake of the Las Vegas attacks? Just go to 12news.com/yourvoice to vote in our live interactive poll, and we'll have those final results right before The Tonight Show.
We're following more breaking news right now. Tempe police say at least 5 people have been hurt in a car crash near Southern and Harding. 3 of the patients were trapped and had to be extricated. They're in critical condition. Another victim who wasn't trapped is also critical, and a 5th victim suffered minor injuries. No word on the cause of the crash or any of their identities.
We have some more breaking news. A baby and mother missing since June have been found. The little boy thankfully safe tonight.
The child's father posting the news on Facebook tonight.
We just got great news, everybody. Great news. The Mesa Police just called. They found Maddie and William. Maddie's in custody. William's with CPS. He's well and safe.
Madeline Jones allegedly ran off with little William after a judge granted the father, who you just saw, joint custody. Her parents are in jail as well, accused of helping her hide.
Team 12's Monique Griego joins us from the newsroom with the details on how cops caught her. Monique?
William's father had no idea if he'd ever see his son again, but thanks to Mesa Police and a massive online following, they're about to be reunited. After 3.5 months of anguish, not knowing what happened to his son, baby William, Jacob Gokener finally got the news he'd been waiting for.
I am so excited. I just got a call from the Mesa Police Department saying that they found my son and my ex-wife, and they located them in San Diego.
Gokener's ex-wife, 19-year-old Madeline Jones, and baby William went missing back in June. Mesa Police now believe Jones and her parents staged the duo's disappearance to keep Gokener away from the baby after he won joint custody. Last week, police arrested Cassandra and Roland Jones for their part in the plot and for allegedly lying to police.
I haven't heard how my son is doing for the past 3.5 months, and so it's just been crazy. And so hearing the news that they're safe and well is such welcome relief.
It just doesn't pay off.
Destiny Mack didn't know the family but felt compelled to help.
And I just am so glad that he was young enough to maybe never remember any of it.
Mack started this Facebook page, which eventually led to more than 11,000 people, most of them strangers, doing their own detective work on the case.
There was a whole community of people that loved him and wanted him home.
Police say Jones is in custody and William is now in the care of CPS. As for Gokener, he's just happy his son is safe and can't wait to be reunited with him.
Give him a big hug, take lots of pictures, and introduce him to his aunts and uncles that want to meet him dearly. So.
At last check, Gokener was frantically trying to get on the next flight to San Diego from where he lives in Utah. We'll keep you posted on the reunion. Monique Griego, 12 News.
12 News at 10, tracking breaking developments
surrounding the deadly Las Vegas shooting.
Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton highlighting the urgent need for blood.
Insider secrets on what you should do if you ever find yourself in a mass shooting situation.
All this as the Diamondbacks get ready to host a playoff game at Chase Field. Are the players worried?
Stand by.
Check the framing.
Places, please.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
And we continue to monitor new developments out of Las Vegas, where a gunman fired a barrage of bullets on an outdoor country music festival last night, killing at least 58 people and injuring more than 500 others.
This is the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, and it comes just over a year after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, where 49 were killed. Almost a decade before that, we had Virginia Tech, 32 dead. And in 2012, the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. It claimed the lives of 20 children and 7 adults.
There's an outpouring of support in Las Vegas tonight as hundreds of people are turning out to donate blood.
This is what it looked like. The lines, unbelievable early this morning. The lines stretched for blocks with countless donors waiting to help replenish the blood supply to treat the injured.
Team 12's Joe Dana joins us from Las Vegas once again with how folks are helping out even here in Arizona. Joe?
Yeah, and I don't want to sound harsh, but this gives you an idea of the reality of the situation. The sidewalk I'm standing on is stained with trails of fresh blood. This is an area where victims fled en masse from the shooting spot down behind me. And in fact, one of the medical centers here nearby received the largest number of victims. And they, along with other hospitals in this area, received donations of blood from United Blood Service centers from around the West. So while the hospitals here have been getting a good supply of blood from those areas, that means that other blood locations around the West could use donations. And in fact, today, Mayor Greg Stanton donated blood at a Glendale location to sort of send the message. He, along with United Blood Services, are urging you to help replenish our local supply that came here to Las Vegas.
So too oftentimes, people wait until there's a national disaster or a loved one in the hospital before they give blood. But really, situations like this are a reminder of the need for blood. And it's just so important that people take the time to donate blood, whether it be for a Las Vegas shooting victim or a child fighting cancer at Phoenix Children's Hospital. You know, many of the stories that we have on a daily basis may not be the ones in the news, but to those patients and their families, that blood donor is every bit a hero to them.
So you can donate blood to United Blood Services by making an appointment. You can find details on that. We've got information at 12news.com. And right now, the greatest need is O negative and O positive red blood cells. Those types are the most universal. We're also told that blood platelets are also in need. So perhaps for those looking for a way to honor the victims here, the United Blood Services is saying they'll take your appointments anytime this week. That'll do it for us here in Las Vegas. I'm Joe Dana for 12 News at 10.
Joe, thanks. A good way to give back. Well, there are a lot of big events coming up here in the Valley over the next few weeks, including the D-backs playoff game on Wednesday, the State Fair, and a music festival. So is Arizona prepared if, God forbid, we had an attack like this here?
Team 12's Kevin Kennedy joins us from the Satellite Center with a first-hand look at what one security expert says you can do to stay safe.
It's all about being aware of your surroundings, identify exit, places to hide, and if you can, where the shots are coming from. It really is a worst-case scenario. Thousands of people packed into a small area, a shooter up high, armed and firing.
It is a very lethal situation to be in.
So what do you do? Isabel Maldonado is a retired police captain.
Your instinct would be to duck. The first thing would just be to,
bad thing.
It's not a horrible thing.
But now what? Run or hide?
The first thing that you look for is cover. That's your best choice.
Cover is anything that can stop a bullet. So in this scenario, if the shooter was up there, where would you go? What do you see?
I'm not seeing a lot here. You know, there isn't a lot.
Your options are limited, but there are usually some. Isabella's showing us.
One of the first things you can do, you can lie down right under, but you have to cram your body as closely to this stone as you possibly can.
This pillar is also a safe zone. So is this spot. Even a tree, if big enough, could provide cover. And when there isn't any, look for a place to conceal your location. It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
Hiding, even if it's behind a plastic sign, provides safety. Identifying the location of the shooter key, every situation different.
Sometimes really the only option that you have is to get out of the kill zone. You must flee.
If you run, take the shortest route. The less exposure you have, the greater you increase your chances of surviving. In the Satellite Center, Kevin Kennedy, 12 News at 10.
Kevin, thank you. And don't forget to weigh in to our live interactive poll tonight. We want to know, are you worried about event safety here in Arizona?
You can go to 12news.com/yourvoice and vote. We'll have the final results coming up in a couple of minutes.
And remember to stay with 12 News, 12news.com, and our social media apps. Team 12's Joe Dana and Jessica DeNova are both in Las Vegas. Jessica will bring us the latest developments live on 12 Today. That's starting at 4:30 in the morning.
And then at 7 a.m., Savannah Guthrie anchors a special edition of Today live from Las Vegas. She'll be sharing stories of heroism as the wounded recover. Well, tonight we're following breaking news. NBC News confirming that rock star Tom Petty, known for a string of great hits, including Free Falling, has died.
Tom Petty was 66 years old. Reports first surfaced on TMZ that he was being hospitalized after going into cardiac arrest.
The early rumors of his death prompted an outpouring of grief on Twitter, where Petty was the top worldwide trending topic at one point today.
Musicians like Juliette Lewis, Courtney Love, Kid Rock, and Cyndi Lauper were all among those posting remembrances before the official word came down. Tracking tomorrow, Vice President Mike Pence is coming to Phoenix to meet with Governor Doug Ducey and Arizona business leaders to discuss Republican efforts to pass tax reform. He'll He'll also attend a political fundraiser for the Donald Trump-Pence victory, then stay the night in the Valley before leaving in the morning to possibly meet up with the president in Las Vegas.
And MCSO and Chandler Police will hold a meeting tomorrow night for concerned parents of Hamilton High School students and student athletes to discuss the sex assault allegations. The meeting will take place from 6 to 7 at the First Baptist Church on Arizona Avenue.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start our forecast tonight by showing you something beautiful. Thanks to 12 News weather watcher Raul for sending in this sunset shot from the white tanks tonight. Let's talk about how your day looked today. So average would be 94. We hit 92 today, so we're looking good. But these temperatures are about to crank up because this high pressure is going to continue building in our direction coming up from the Gulf. So you're going to see these temperatures rising. Dew points mostly in the 30s and 40s right now. We're seeing a 45-degree dew point in Phoenix. Those will also be on the rise later this week, bringing us the potential for some showers over in the eastern portions of Arizona by midweek. Tonight, we're going to cool down to about 65 to 70 for those lows in the valley. A clear night on tap. We'll see sunrise at about 6:24 tomorrow morning. We'll cool down to 60 in Sedona, 40 in Flagstaff, 48 in Winslow. Tomorrow, we see a high of 68 in Flagstaff, 80 in Sedona, 85 in Winslow, 92 over in Havasu. In Phoenix, warming up to 95, so right around average. The kids may get a little chilly at the bus stop, so they may need a jacket with those temperatures from about 66 to 70 degrees. Do look at Friday and Saturday. We are likely going to see the triple digits yet again. On the bright side, it's one more weekend you can spend by the pool. Mark?
Moments away, injury news and security concerns surrounding the D-backs wildcard playoff game. Coop's up next with sports.
12 Sports is sponsored by your Valley Toyota dealers.
Well, this is exactly what Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo did not want to see heading into the playoffs: an injury. Starting shortstop Ketel Marte was forced from yesterday's regular season finale with tightness in his left hamstring. I talked with Marte today before his scheduled MRI.
How do you feel right now? If the game was to be played today, could you go?
Yeah, I can play. I mean, I'm not a baby, so if I gotta play, I can play. I feel like a little bit hurt, but I can play no matter what.
Okay, meantime, the Valley is brimming with excitement in anticipation of the Diamondbacks' first playoff game in 6 years. Wednesday's wildcard playoff game against the Colorado Rockies is a sellout. Close to 50,000 will be in attendance. Now, in the wake of the Las Vegas tragedy, I asked a number of players if they had any concerns relative to security for the game.
I don't feel comfortable talking about that. I was watching that all last night. That's tough to talk about. I'm just focused on today and practice. Not really worried about the security stuff right now.
I mean, we're out there playing a game. We're doing our best. That's where our mind is. We got some great workers here at Chase Field. We got bomb squad dogs. They got all sorts of security.
I don't think as players you think about that. You're trying to go out there and do your job and focus on that. And I think there's other people in the stadium that are gonna help take care of the other things.
Okay, don't go to bed in just 6 minutes. Adam Sandler, Dustin Hoffman, and Miley Cyrus join Jimmy on The Tonight Show right after 12 News at 10.
Recapping the tragedy in Las Vegas, at least 59 people are dead after a gunman opened fire from a hotel down into a large crowd at a concert last night.
Hundreds more were injured. The suspect is dead, and there is no motive right now.
And here are the final results from our live interactive poll. We asked, are you worried about event safety here in Arizona?
The majority of you seem to believe that you're somewhat worried, about 70%, and that's been the number for most of the day.
Have a great night.